Hi, I'm Manga Captor, and today I'd like to share with you some essential tips for curating your own manga collection. I dove headfirst into manga collecting around the same time I started my YouTube channel, and over time I've learned some valuable lessons, some the hard way. What started as a simple hobby quickly turned into a whirlwind of hauls and big purchases, partly because I felt this unspoken pressure to prove myself within the MangaTube community, plus noticing that my best performing videos were all manga hauls didn't really help. I felt like a big manga collection was a sign of success and would improve my channel's performance, which now I know isn't true. Today I want to share advice I wish I'd known before starting my manga collection. So if you're looking to begin your manga collection journey or just want some tips, this video is a great place to start. But before we get into these tips, let's hear from today's sponsor. If you're like me, you enjoy filling your space and workday with cute items. Cute things just make me smile and bring me joy. That's why I was so excited to discover Yume Twins, a monthly kawaii subscription box filled with cute items straight from Japan. Each box follows a special monthly theme and is filled with cute Japanese merchandise ranging from plushies, squishies, daily practical goods, and stationery. This month's theme is Shiba Inu Kawaii Paradise, which is perfect for dog lovers. Inside you'll find a pamphlet that shares more about the theme and items. I love that this box celebrates Shiba Inu, a dog breed native to Japan that has become a symbol of loyalty and companionship. My absolute favorite item has to be this traveling Mameshiba plushie. Just look at their cute tiny headpiece. Each box comes with one of 6 designs representing different locations in Japan the dog has traveled to. You might get one that traveled to Mount Fuji or to the lush strawberry farms of Japan. The cuteness continues with practical items like this Shiba Inu bowl, perfect for a snack. And of course, this snack bowl also comes with a pair of adorable Shiba Inu chopsticks. As you can see, this box is filled with so many cute things. And speaking of cute things, Valentine's Day is coming up, and this box would make a great gift for anyone who loves dogs and adorable things. If you would like to get your own box or gift one to a loved one, you can get $5 off using the link in my description box along with my coupon code MangaCaptor. Treat yourself to some well-deserved cuteness. Thank you again to Yume Twins for sponsoring this video. Now let's get into those manga collection tips. So let's get into it. Step number 1, know thyself. If you're new to manga, you might not know what genres or subgenres you like. And if that's the case, well, fear not. I have the single best piece of advice for this. Get a library card at your local library. It's free and they have manga. This is what I personally did before I started getting really into collecting manga. It's how I found out about great series like Witch Hat Atelier and Silver Spoon. It's also how I first read my favorite shonen titles of all time, Full Metal Alchemist and One Piece, which are now a huge part of my personal collection. So I'd highly recommend checking out what your local library or libraries have to offer. I'd start by just picking out a few titles and seeing what you enjoy, and over time you'll start to find your personal taste. Also, another great thing to note is that you don't have to purchase every single manga series you read. You can read manga for free from your library, and that is just a great idea in general. Step number 2 is to make a plan. Okay, so now you're feeling good, you discovered some manga gems at the library, and you're excited about building your own collection. You've familiarized yourself with some series that really call to you, and you've learned about some new genres and subgenres that you want to collect. But you're not ready just quite yet. You need to make a financial plan. Collecting manga is an expensive hobby, but if you set a monthly budget and stick to it, it's totally doable. Every month I set some money aside for purchasing manga. This helps me stay in the green, so to say. So spend some time doing the math and figure out what your manga budget should be and stick to it. It's also important to note that you don't have to spend everything in your manga funds just because it's sitting there. You should only spend it on series that you're truly excited about adding to your shelves. Okay, now that you have your budget in order, let's go on to the next step, which is number 3, be so serious about how much space you have. It is very important to assess where you will be keeping your manga collection. Consider how much space is available and how many bookcases you're willing to dedicate to your manga collection. It's also important that the space you're going to use isn't too humid and isn't in direct sunlight. Currently, as you can see, there is sunlight coming in. Well, it's very cloudy outside, but there's natural light coming in, but I have blackout curtains. So when I'm not filming, these curtains are closed, keeping this exposed shelf away from harsh light. And this other shelf behind me that you see is actually in a closet. So I just close the door and it is protected from any harsh sunlight. So if you have big windows near your bookshelves and you really are concerned about your volumes yellowing over time, I would highly recommend investing in some blackout curtains. The more serious thing is humidity. So if humidity is something you can't get away from, consider investing in a dehumidifier. I have a dehumidifier running during the summer because there is a lot of humidity where I live, and moisture creates mold, and you do not want to have moldy volumes. Manga collections take a good sum of money, so you want to make sure that your collection has the correct conditions, and enough space is a big factor of that as well. You don't want to be stacking your manga volumes on top of each other in a tall stack for too long because you will warp the spines. They need to be in a sturdy bookshelf standing upright in order not to get damaged. I really didn't take this kind of stuff into consideration, and some of my manga did end up getting damaged either from direct sunlight or humidity, so I really wish I knew this before. And now on to number 4, consider buying digital manga. I know this kind of seems like a weird tip to insert here because we're talking about a manga collection, but a manga collection is not just a physical collection. Any manga that you've purchased over time is part of your collection, whether it's on your digital e-reader or on your shelves. And for most of us, space is what can be super limiting. I myself feel like I'm getting pretty close to capacity with my physical collection, and I wish I invested in a digital reader sooner. I just really didn't consider digital as an option for the longest time because I was concerned that I wouldn't really enjoy reading on an e-reader. But honestly, most of the time it is my preferred way to read. Sometimes it's even a better experience than reading the physical volume. There are some series on my shelves that honestly should have been digital purchases rather than physical. But I can't go backwards at this point, and I don't want to go through the trouble of listing my physical copies and rebuying them digitally. So it's important early on to seriously consider going digital for part of your manga collection. And now on to number 5. This is something that I really wish I thought about thoroughly, and that is, what do you want your collection to look like? This is a question that you should seriously consider before starting your manga collection. At first, I collected manga somewhat feverishly without thinking about the overall picture of my collection. I was more motivated by sales and exclusive things than what I actually wanted to curate. I thought of collecting manga in like a very narrow way, but over time I realized that there are many forms or attitudes that you can take when collecting manga, and you don't have to stick to a specific one at all. So there's the completionist attitude. The completionist is someone who collects manga with the purpose of completing entire series. They might want to collect all of Tokyo Pop's vintage releases from the 90s. They might want to collect all of the Viz signature collection releases, or maybe they want to collect all GL titles ever published. There's also the greatest hits collector. This is someone who primarily reads manga online through a subscription and only wants to buy their favorite standout volumes of a series. Or maybe they are someone who primarily watches anime but wants to own the individual manga volumes that were the source material for their favorite episodes. I've never considered collecting manga in this way until I watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and fell in love with the character introduction of Rohan Kishibe in Diamond is Unbreakable. Now I'm on the hunt for the 2 volumes where his introduction takes place so that I can add them to my small Rohan Kishibe collection. Additionally, there is also the nostalgia collector. This is someone who primarily collects manga that they read in their childhood or young adult life. They might prioritize collecting first printings of their favorites, as well as special exclusive reprints. As you can see, there are many ways to look at collecting, but you don't have to shoehorn yourself into any single one. What's important is that your shelves are a reflection of you. So write down what that looks like. Maybe you want to have a shelf dedicated to your childhood favorites. Maybe you want to have a small area for a Japanese collection of series that haven't been brought to your native language. Maybe you loved watching My Hero Academia, but don't want to collect all of the volumes, so instead you cherry pick your favorites. For me, my shelves represent and reflect pieces of myself. As someone who's non-binary, I've found and collected stories that speak to that part of me. Yuki Kamatani is an ex-gender mangaka who I look up to, so over time I've prioritized purchasing their works. I also love learning new languages like Japanese, so I have a small Japanese collection that I use to learn more vocabulary. I'm passionate about food and cooking, so I've gravitated towards series like What Did You Eat Yesterday? And She Loves to Cook and She Loves to Eat. And I adore having these series on my shelves. I also love having LGBTQ manga on my shelves because growing up, queer representation was so rare. And oftentimes, if it did show up in a movie or a TV show, it was meant to be viewed as a joke. So for me, collecting series with respectful and positive representation is healing towards my inner child. All of this to say that the value of your manga collection is not dependent on how many volumes you have or how much it cost you. Its value comes from what it means to you. As cheesy as that sounds, that is 100% true. So as best as you can, write out and brainstorm your manga collection goals based off of what you want and not what other people's collections look like. So now that we've planned out our finances, our logistics, and the soul of our manga collection, and no, I don't care how dramatic that sounds. Now we need to move on to step number 6, which is shopping smart. You're going to feel very tempted to just run to your nearest retail bookseller and buy a bunch of series. I understand that craving and that energy, but I want to help you save some money. Okay, first things first, start slow and don't buy too many series at once. Maybe start with 1 to 3 series. This way you don't feel too overwhelmed about staying on top of new releases and reading multiple series at the same time. Start by making a short list of your starter series that you want. If some of the series on your list are older, like Death Note, Naruto, Black Butler, I'd strongly consider buying used. You will save up to 50% or more per volume, and additionally, series such as the ones I mentioned, like Naruto, are so wildly popular that so many people have already purchased these volumes and are even looking to give them a new home. One of my favorite places to buy used manga volumes from is thrift books. As you navigate the website, you'll notice that there are conditions listed with each volume, and I like to stick to the ones that are labeled very good or like new. That way you can get your volume in a better condition, and I would also keep an eye out for ex-library books. If the volume you are purchasing is an ex-library copy, it will state that. I personally have purchased ex-library books and have restored them by taking off all the stickers and using like rubbing alcohol to remove any residue, and it takes a good amount of time. So getting ex-library books is definitely a viable option if you're okay with having library stamps on top of your books or any markings and things like that. But if you absolutely do not want that, I would pay very close attention to that little note and make sure you're not buying ex-library copies. Better World Books is another great online used bookstore like Thrift Books. I've had some really good luck with their online store, and I've snagged some volumes of Nabari no O for really good prices. Mercari is also another good option for buying used manga, but it's important to read reviews of the seller and make sure that people find them to be reliable and legitimate. So those are some good online options, but if you have a half-price books near you, I'd highly recommend checking out their manga section. I have found some gems there for half price, which is their whole deal. So as you can see, there are lots of options, lots of places to check for volumes before going to a retailer. Now, clearly, when it comes to new releases, you're not going to be able to find them at these used bookstores. You'll have to go to a retailer like Barnes & Noble or Crunchyroll. I personally don't have any experience with Crunchyroll. I used to only buy from Right Stuff before they were acquired by Crunchyroll. but I do have a Barnes & Noble membership, and overall I feel like it is worth having. I have the paid membership, so I get $5 in rewards for every stamp card I complete. Sometimes I also get like access to exclusive little events they're having, like triple stamp day. You also get 10% off all purchases and free shipping, no minimum payment required. But my favorite thing about being a Barnes & Noble member is that sometimes they'll do a 25% off pre-orders, and that is, like, in my opinion, one of their best sales. There's also a free tier to their membership, but I don't quite remember what the free tier gives you, but that's also an option if you want to try something out with them before committing to a year membership. So there are definitely some opportunities to save a little bit of money with retailers when buying newer volumes of manga. So I'd recommend spending some time looking at what your local booksellers offer, if they have any memberships or discounts that you can take advantage of. That way you can save a little bit when it comes to new volumes. All right, and now on to the last one on the list. Number 7, enjoy your collection. There is absolutely no need to rush your collection. It's important to take a step back and enjoy it at all of its stages. I love just sitting in my reading room and staring at my shelves. I'll flip through my favorite volumes to look at my favorite panels or story moments. Your manga collection is there to enjoy. I also am a strong believer that your manga collection should largely contain things that you want to reread at some point. Because at some point, when I was just rushing and not enjoying the process of collecting manga, I like sat there and I was like, why do I even have some of this stuff? At that time, I had bought some volumes that I genuinely didn't really like. I just bought them because there was maybe a lot of hype around them. And as a YouTuber, I felt like I had to be in the zeitgeist, but that didn't really bring me any joy. So I actually did end up unhauling some of my manga, and I don't think I ever made a video about that. You might notice that some manga volumes aren't here anymore, and that is just because they didn't spark joy. And the whole point of a manga collection is to feel that joy. It is a hobby. So if ever at any point in your manga collection journey you're not enjoying it anymore, I think it's important to take a step back and just slow down. And that's it. That concludes all of the things that I wish I knew or considered before starting my manga collection. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and found it somewhat helpful. Let me know in the comment section which tip you found the most helpful, and consider subscribing if you want to watch more manga related content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!